Hi everyone, so as you know, all this week I've been doing a series called Holding On to Someone for the Wrong Reasons, and this is the final episode. So if you want to catch the other episodes, then you can go to my YouTube channel, Marianne Hanson Counselling Service, or my Facebook page, Marianne Hanson Counselling Service. On my Facebook page, obviously I've been going live, which I'm going to do after I've made this video. And the whole point of the series really was just to do something a bit different, just to look at something which I feel is quite relatable. I've been getting quite a lot of engagement with it and people have been saying it's a good series. So later in the year I'll also be doing different types of, I might do similar things. So if you're watching for the first time, my name's Marianne Hanson. I'm the counsellor at Marianne Hanson Counselling Service. I work with individuals and couples and I specialise in the areas of low self-esteem, stress, depression, anxiety and relationships. So in episode 6, what I want to talk about is holding on to the wrong person or holding on to someone for the wrong reasons because you're waiting for them to change, or sometimes you're waiting for the situation to change. Now this happens a lot in abusive relationships, but it can also happen in relationships where it just hasn't been working for a long time, but where someone is hopeful or just waiting for change to happen. This one is another one that I think is quite common, especially in abusive relationships. And you can watch some of the other videos that I've made over the years about reasons why people remain in abusive relationships and some of the issues associated with that. So this is where someone thinks that if they just hold on for a little bit longer, or if they just stay in the relationship for a little bit longer, that things are going to change. Sometimes they think if they do something differently, or if they give the person a bit of time, or sometimes they'll make excuses for the person. So they'll say this relationship is really bad, the person is controlling, abusive, or the person is just lazy, they don't contribute to the household, the person is financially using me, you know, they don't put any finances into, even though we live together, the person is disrespectful towards me. And there'll always be a reason of, maybe the victim or the person who's experienced that will always give justification of, oh, well, maybe it's because I do this, or maybe it's because they're going through a rough patch. So they'll hold on and they'll continue to hold on, and they'll be waiting for either the person to change or for the situation to change. So the first thing I want to say is that you have to recognise that someone changing is outside of your control. Now, I can say that with certainty, not only as a counsellor, but that's how I've always felt anyway. You may wish and hope and want for someone to change. You may think that I think sometimes society as well helps people to fuel this myth that the person will change because they've met the right person, or this person changed because I came into their life. We don't hold that power over a person. No one has the actual power to make a person change. They change when they're ready to, when they decide to, when they want to. You might have influenced a person. So say if they meet someone at a certain time and then all of a sudden that change happens, but that wasn't because of you. You might have influenced that, but that's because they were ready. So you have to recognise that waiting for something to happen and waiting based on another person it doesn't make any sense. Because what you're effectively saying is that things are bad now, but I can just keep waiting and see if this person will wake up one day and then change. Or I can, just wait and see if the situation itself will change. And this specifically for abusive relationships. It's never about you, and it's never about anything you're doing. If you're the victim, you can try to do all the things that this perpetrator has told you to do. They're still going to be physically or emotionally abusive or controlling, because it's what they get from it. So if there's no incentive for a person to change, then the person isn't going to change. And sometimes in some relationships, they enjoy what they're doing. They enjoy having control over the person. They enjoy their nasty behaviour. So there's nothing you can do about that. All you can do is say you're not going to tolerate it and move on, and allow them to continue to do that if they want to. It's not about you having to save someone and wait for them to change and having to say, I have to justify what they're doing. The second thing is to set a deadline. Sometimes it's really helpful to set deadlines. And what that means is, if you are someone that can't just say, right, that's it, I'm leaving, or that's it, I'm ending this relationship, then you may sometimes put a deadline date on it. You might say, if things haven't changed, or improved by Christmas, say like that's 3 months away or 6 months away, then I do have to take action. Now that action might not even be you have to leave, but it might be, right, by Christmas, if things are exactly the same position as they are, if I've tried everything I've tried to do to improve things, and if things are my partner hasn't, then I need to make a decision. That decision might be, right, we need to go to therapy. That decision might be, we need to separate for a while. But it just means you've set a deadline and you need to follow it through. Because I also think that sometimes people tell their partner, you know, if you continue to talk to me like this, then I'm going to leave. If you continue to cheat on me, then I'm going to leave. But then they don't follow through with it. And it's just pointless. It's pointless giving someone an ultimatum and then just not following it through, because all it does is makes the person think, well, they're not going to follow through with it, and they'll continue with the behaviour. You lose your power. Don't set ultimatums unless you're going to follow them through. The third thing is to be realistic. What steps has the person taken to change? Over the years that you've been with them, have they made any efforts to change? Have you contributed and supported them in changes? Are you being unrealistic? Sometimes you ask someone to be something that they can't be. Sometimes you ask someone to change when there's no chance of that happening. And I think we've probably all been in relationships where we've been with people and we know that that's who they are, that's their personality, that's their DNA, that's their biology, that's their history, that is their that's just them. You know, and sometimes you have to accept that and say, well, do you know what? I've either got to accept how they are and not wait for change to happen, but accept that this is who I'm going to be stuck with. You don't have to be stuck with, but this is who I'm going to accept. Or I'm going to walk away, but you can't. Sometimes the change that you want to see in another person might not be ever, that person might not want to be that person that you think that they should be. And as a counsellor, you know, we want the best for our clients. We want progression. We want them to be the best version of themselves. Sometimes they're not in a position or ready to do that, or they're not in a place where they can do that yet. Maybe that's coming. But in a relationship, waiting for someone to become the man or the woman you want them to be it's not only putting pressure on that person because maybe they're never going to get there, but it's also being, why should you wait? You know, if they're not wanting to do that, and if that's not the person they want to be, then what is the point in you waiting for them to change into that person? Sometimes you just have to say, you know, we've got to this stage, it's been 15 years and they've always been like this. They've always been talking about how they want to go to college and get a degree, but, you know, they've never took any steps to do it. They've always been saying that they're going to help out with the kids and the housework, but, you know, it's been 5 years, they've never done that. They've always said they're going to stop being abusive towards me, but, you know, it's been 3 years we've been in this relationship and they're still doing it. You know, when are you going to draw the line and say, well, that's it, you know, I've come to the point where I've had enough? The fourth thing is everyone's on their own journey. I think I've sort of covered that a little bit. Change occurs when someone's ready for change. You know, that could be that they hit rock bottom. So someone who's got an addiction, maybe, you know, when they got drunk, they're always getting drunk and people are always helping them up and sorting them out. But then this one time they could get drunk and have an accident and it could nearly kill them. And they might turn around and think, do you know what, that was too close. I've really got to work on my drinking now. I've got to get help. I've got to go to rehab. For other people, it might just take something else happening, but usually it's an internal, it's something that they decide. They say, right, I'm going to wake up today and I'm going to change. So you have to respect the journey, that individual journey that people are on. You can't go into a relationship and expect your journey or your timeline or what's happening with you to kind of always be in sync with your partner. They're on their own separate journey, and just because you're together and you're a couple, it doesn't mean that because you want them to do something they're going to do it. So you have to just take that in mind. The other thing to think about is it worth the sacrifice of time? I've talked about this, I think, in every single video. That's the way I live my life, on the basis of I don't want endless amounts of time that is wasted that I can't get back. So if I'm in a relationship waiting for this person to change, I don't see any point in that. I see it as being okay, we came into this relationship, I knew what this person was. We're not happy now because we figured out we're different, we're not compatible, we figured out things are not working. We can either try to make it work by doing certain things, or we can go our separate ways. But I'm not going to sort of be sitting there thinking, oh, it's another 3 years and I'm not happy. Or when is he going to change? Or he might change next year. Or he's getting older now, so I'm not going to do all of that. That's just, I don't even understand the logic of that, because it's just not something that I can relate to. You know, if they want to do something, then a person's going to do it, and they're going to do it for themselves. So I'm not wasting my time waiting and expecting something. I'm just going to base it on what's going on right now in this moment. And the final thing is, you need to be willing to accept if change doesn't happen. Are you willing to accept that this is how it is? You know, are you willing to look at the opposite, which could be that this person might never change? I think I've sort of touched on that a little bit earlier. So say it's been 15 years and the relationship has always been that way. Are you willing to say that in another year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, if things are exactly the way that they are, am I just gonna sort of say, okay, I'm going to accept it now and that's it, that's us for life type of thing? I think personally, because like a majority of people in the world are risk averse, and they're just fearful of taking risks because they're always thinking of like the worst thing that can happen. We don't sort of live in a world where people think, what about the best thing that could happen? Or we don't live in a world where people think, even if I take a risk and it works out, then I haven't wasted time and then I haven't sacrificed my life. You know, it's always about this thing of I have to sacrifice myself, I have to be selfless, I have to put up with this, I have to tolerate things, I have to be likeable, I have to keep my mouth quite shut, I have to blah blah blah, all this other stuff. But you have to think, you know, is it worth it? When it comes to some of these relationships that I've been speaking about this week, is it worth just holding on to someone and just being unhappy, just so that you can say, you know, yeah, I'm a martyr because I put up with all of this person's cheating and I'm still there, you know, and I'm a martyr because I didn't abandon him or her when she did this and the other. I mean, it's not something that you need a medal for, that you've actually sacrificed and tolerated bad treatment. You know, it's something that maybe you should think about another way, which is, why am I tolerating this? You know, is there better for me? Is it worth it? So I hope you found these videos useful. You can find episodes 1 to 5 either on this channel or also on my Facebook page where I've gone live. I'm going to be going live in a moment. And you can leave your comments, let me know what you think. Later in the year I will be doing other series about different things. And I hope you found this really interesting. Please leave your comments, share with others if you think they'll find it interesting too. And don't forget to consider subscribing to my channel. Thanks for watching. Bye.